The benefit of social media is that when people make content like the stuff I do, you can literally see examples of what I'm saying because the internet, people post their whole life. But this is chapter 12, lesson 12 of the financial literacy playlist series. This lesson is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, legal, mechanical, insurance, tax, or car buying advice. The goal is to help people think more clearly about vehicles, car notes, insurance, maintenance, dealership pressure, social influence, and long term financial decisions. Always research your specific vehicle, check recalls, review contracts carefully, and use qualified professionals when needed. Purpose. In the financial literacy playlist, we have been walking through awareness, budgeting, money leaks, emergency funds, debt, credit, interest, discipline, income, growth, and financial myths. And if you are just tuning in, you can always check the playlist out, which it will be at the end of the video. And now in part 12, we are talking about vehicles because for a lot of people, the vehicle is not just transportation. It becomes identity, status, ego, pressure, debt, financial leak, a repair trap. If it becomes a reason people stay broke while looking like they're doing better than they are. This lesson is not saying people shouldn't buy a vehicle. The lesson is saying don't let a vehicle own your future. A vehicle should help you move through life. It should not become the reason your money cannot move. Chapter 1, vehicle traps. Welcome back. Today I said that already. I don't know why. Like when I do the editing of the writing that I write because I'm a writer. I'm not a writer like a book writer. I haven't did that yet, but like I like writing. So my all my thoughts are original ideas. The information and the facts being fact checked are of course someone else's information, but the actual like gumbo of the pot is me. And it gets redundant when it's editing in the format to flow like a script versus the original. Cars, trucks, SUVs, car notes, insurance, maintenance, dealerships, buy here, pay here lots, Facebook scams, repairs, depreciation, and the emotional pressure to look like you're doing better than you are. For many people, a vehicle is necessary, especially in certain cities. Certain cities, shout out to H Town, hold it down, man, hold up. Unless you have the patience of a saint and a lot of commute for buses, baby, you have to have a vehicle in Houston, especially if you're going from one side to another. You need transportation to get to work. You may need it for family. You may need it because public transportation does not work well where you live. You may need it for safety, distance, opportunity, or responsibility. So this lesson is not anti-vehicle. This lesson is anti being played and scammed because a vehicle can help you build. Honestly, I might have to retire the word scam because so many things fall under that umbrella that I will find myself labeling everything as a scam, which it wouldn't be factual, but knowing that people don't know me and many people are not familiar with nuance, that is more than likely the way it would be received. And if I'm carving a message, I have to step back down to earth and actually kind of consider people thoughts for a second when it comes because I'm it's from me to them versus if it was just me living my life like I do, I wouldn't care. But it's communication. But the wrong vehicle, the wrong loan, the wrong insurance situation, the wrong mechanic, or the wrong mindset can keep you track for years. Not to mention, a lot of the financially struggling people I witnessed in real life, they could save so much money by being aware. Like a lot of the spending, yes, they might need more income. I don't know anyone who would say no to more income though, but it's so many decisions that's made off of lack of knowledge, and you have a lot of people, eerily enough, that think that anyone who works somewhere is an expert. They think that every Walmart employee knows what the hell they're doing. They think that every mechanic knows how to do fix anything in the car and when anything is wrong. And a lot of times, if people actually pay more attention to people body language, you will see that when you bring problems or questions to people, you can literally see their brain frying in front of your face. But people are so chatty and performative, they don't notice it. Maybe if I see somebody shake when I ask them something, you don't have to worry about answering it for me. Slide 2. The car is not just a payment. One of the biggest mistakes people make is asking only one question. Can I afford the monthly payment? That is not enough. The real question is, can I afford the vehicle? That includes the monthly payment, insurance, fuel, maintenance, oil changes, tires, brakes, registration, inspection, parking, tickets, repairs, interest on the loan, deductibles, emergency repairs, a possible repossession risk. A $500 car note is not just $500. If insurance is $250, gas is $200 a month, maintenance averages $100, and repair shops show up unexpectedly, that vehicle may be costing close to $1,000 a month or more. And if you are already in survival mode, that vehicle can become the thing that eats your future. Like for me, I had a 2004 or 11, I don't remember which one, Honda Pilot. In between one of my vehicles being sent to the junkyard heaven, and it felt good not having a car note, but having to refuel multiple times for the 2 weeks I would be off from offshore was pretty annoying. And not being able to drive from New Orleans to Houston or vice versa on one tank was super annoying, especially with the fact that between New Orleans and Houston, I would always get really low around like Vinton Vider area, but I wouldn't want to refill in Lafayette, because if I refilled in Lafayette, by the time I got to Beaumont, I would need to refill again. But if I refilled near Vinton Vider, which was basically Russian roulette with my life, if you know, you know, every time, but I laugh in the face of danger. Ha 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 ha. That would be the only way I would make it to Houston without having to refuel. But then when I get to Houston, I'll be low on gas again. So eventually I thought about it and I was just like, yeah, I tried to stay with it, and then it started having AC issues. And I had it for 2 or 3 years, and I had only paid 1,200 for it. So I received a lot of the value from it. And I also was putting a car note amount in savings for the simple fact of knowing that I had an older vehicle. And at that time, I hadn't been blessed by the DIY heaven. Otherwise, I probably would have repaired everything myself. But the gas, I just couldn't get over that. I don't like vehicles that's bad on gas. I noticed that immediately because I like to see the full tank. I really do. I like to see it for as long as possible. If it was a subscription fee that I could pay where the gas tank fill itself up and I never see nothing lower than full, then I would be the person to get that. Chapter 3, the monthly payment trap. Dealerships know many buyers focus on monthly payments. They ask questions like, what payment are you comfortable with? What do you want your monthly note to be? How much can you put down today? That sounds helpful, but sometimes it shifts your attention away from the real numbers. The vehicle price, interest rate, long term, total interest, add-ons, fees, warranty costs, gap insurance costs, trade-in value, the total amount financed, the total amount you will pay over the life of the loan. A lower monthly payment can be created by stretching the loan longer, but a longer loan can mean more interest, more years of obligation, and a higher chance of being upside down. So do not only negotiate the payment, negotiate the price, understand the interest rate, understand the term, understand the total cost. If you only look at the payment, you may not see how much future you just signed away. And if you really are looking for a vehicle at a certain point that because you need it, the best thing you can do is on YouTube, they have so many former and current car salesmen telling you everything about what to avoid, things not to say, like the deals you need, the vehicles to avoid, because scarily enough, a lot of the vehicles that people romanticize and, oh, I want that person because they drive this, this, and this, those vehicles have so many issues. So not only are you paying more out of pocket for a car note, you also are basically adding a guaranteed stress device to your life that you may have electrical issues. Like it was too many videos about people with brand new vehicles with like their vehicle shut down on the side of the road. So imagine you taking more of your energy to pay more a month and it's not even reliable. Like, but you have the name though, you have the look, even though it's on the side of the road. Like, and it's people fault, but it's not all people fault, because the way the industry is set up, you have to realize, especially when it comes to vehicles, there are some very honorable salespeople out there. That's why we have content of people telling you and warning you. However, like any other sales job, you have people that are thirsty, feral. Some of them may be behind in sales. You may have just walked in the dealership when a person who is trying to make sure they be number one in the car dealership is there, so they're just trying to get you in whatever. Yes, you will have some people that will have a human moment and maybe tell you, hey, don't do that. Don't, I know you want this vehicle, but this and this. Let me put you to the side and tell you got a recall on this and this. Those are not the people I'm referring to. But more often than not, you have the money hungry people because they have to run a business. Those dealerships bought those cars from the manufacturer. They have so long to get them off the lot before the dealership starts having to pay extra money for keeping the vehicle. That's why you see those dealerships have those sales and those commercials and employee pricing, because they're desperate. Whenever stuff is selling fast, they don't have deals. Now, if a deal makes stuff sell fast, that's different. But on a regular day, if a business is booming and cars being sold out, those people don't give you discounts. Think about anything that's sold out, that's regularly sold out. They don't go on sale immediately, like with PlayStations and iPhones. They get sold out pretty quick. You don't see a discount till years later, till they collecting dust, to the ones that they produced when they thought it was going to keep selling out. Took up too much space for them. Because when it comes to business and products, every place that has a product, that's why drop shipping, a lot of people like drop shipping more because they don't have to pay the cost, but it's storage. Every store, like all of the stores we shop at, stuff that don't sell, especially if it's not food or perishable, it starts to take up space. And that's why a lot of places resorted to just leaving a lot of stuff at the warehouse, because a lot of times they'll overship things to the store and they can't get it out the way. So when it comes to vehicles, baby, to the people that's selling you the vehicles, especially to the people they work for, because again, some of the salespeople are very ethical when it comes to their customers, but the business itself isn't. And I mean, that's the way it's designed. If people were more into law and legal things, and instead of fighting over who to vote for, focusing on what these people are approving, then we would have more protections in place like they have in across the pond over there on the other side in Europe. But we don't have that here because we are too busy beefing for anything, beefing for color, beefing for religion, beefing for what side of the street you on. Like, just beef. And then every now and then people complain about the invisible man who made life hard. But no, actually, the people take the weakness you have. Because if you didn't have a need for a vehicle, or if you were able to get a vehicle, pay it off early, because the earlier you pay off, the less interest you save. When you just paying the monthly payment, like, that's the biggest trap you can get in. When if y'all scroll and read y'all contracts, it tells you how much interest you're gonna be then paid. So say for instance, if the car is $25,000, but if you pay your monthly payment, by the end of your monthly payment, you're gonna be then paid $50,000. So that means that not only is the $25,000 the vehicle is worth, it drops 20% as soon as you leave the dealership. So that's automatically $5,000 that just dropped off your value. So $20,000. Then depending on how you treat your vehicle, how fast you run the miles up, if you get into any wrecks or fender bendies, which I've never seen this many fender bendies on the road in my life. Like, it's damn near every other vehicle, especially in the New Orleans area, is fender bendy. So that's value lost too. Then if you're not getting all of the maintenance done, that's value lost too. So within 5 years, that $25,000 vehicle is probably worth 12,000, 11, if that. If you try to trade it in, they're only gonna give you 1,000, max 3,000. So that means you're gonna be then paid $50,000 for something that within 5 years is now less than 11,000. So it's basically like you buying a balloon because it's big, but then as the time go on, that balloon just keep losing air more and more and more, but you still paying for the price that it was when it was big. And it's easy for people to fall into this trap because when you really think about it, people don't sit and think about stuff. They might see something, it bothered them, then they find something to self-medicate with. They might see an overdraft notice or see that they have bad spending, and then they turn around and get on TikTok or turn around and start binge watching celebrity shows or watching all of these shows. These people have figured out that as long as we have all of this influx of entertainment, people spend more. The whole goal for a business is to make the most money. So yes, when it gets to the level that it is now is destructive, but even a small business would do that. If you made the best omelets in the city and people have your place packed out, would you just stop selling the omelets because too many people having you packed out, or would you make another location and another location and another location? That's what businesses do. That's why people don't have to own their own business, but you have to get a business mindset. If you can't, you will never survive as a consumer if you do not have a business mindset. That is like trying to go up against a eagle. If an eagle was the man that keep everybody held back, but you don't know how flying work. You don't have to know how to fly, but you need to know how flying work. You need to know that, okay, the eagle need to rest at a certain time, so we could use that to overpower him. Or the eagle uses this weakness we have, so let's learn how to either strengthen that weakness or put something in front of it so that we're not vulnerable. And that's what happens with spending. Not to mention inherited traits. Like, people always talk about generational wealth, but generational poverty is more powerful and more prevalent. People inherit their parents' habits. Some parents even encourage the children, oh, you need a bigger car. Like, I thought a deadbeat parent said something to me a long time ago, talking about, oh, you need a truck instead of a car. You too big for a car. Ma'am, sir, y'all didn't help me when I was trying to get a vehicle at 19, unaware about credit. Everyone wanted a cosigner. So I ended up at a mom and pop shop and I got the 2001 Kia Rio. Like, now you want to say something and then all of a sudden rewriting history. Oh, I told you I could have helped you. Like, delusional. But anyways, chapter 4. When buying a vehicle, people often get emotionally attached before they understand the deal. They test drive it. They imagine themselves in it. They see the screen, the seats, the rims, the color, the image. Then a salesperson starts talking payment. But you have to slow down. The sticker price or MSRP on a new vehicle is not the same as the total cost. And with used vehicles, the list price may not reflect condition, history, title, status, accident history, recalls, or common engine and transmission issues. Before you talk monthly payment, ask, what is the actual selling price? What fees are being added? What is the interest rate? What is the loan term? What is the total amount financed? What is the total of payments? What add-ons are included? And they have to sell add-ons because this is a part of their job for the people that work at corporate dealerships. Like, so it's the catch 22 because I know that we in a blame society. So immediately when something is caused, we want to blame, like it's the salesman's fault. But I mean, they have a job to do. Like, that's how sales jobs are. Even when I did customer service for Sprint, rest in peace, Verizon, and who else? I only did customer service for them over the phone that I can remember, and I did it for medical too. But for the telecommunication sector, they got to a point to where we had to have so many people who planned. We changed every month, so many phones we upgraded. But the crazy thing is, you can't control that because if you someone who just getting calls about billing statements, majority of those people cannot be convinced to upgrade their phone. So what happened when people was put under pressure to make their 10 upgrades a month, or at Sprint, I forgot how many plan changes, and then you also got points for if a person upgraded their phone, people began lying. Some people even went as far as out of desperation, even though it's wrong. But you can when I speak on the reasoning behind things, I'm not by far justifying it. What I show you is the thought process, and that's how you can use thought process in life to kind of catch on the stuff that other people are doing. You can know that, okay, if somebody around you is suddenly desperate, I used to leave my purse around them or my wallet around them, but let me not do that because it looked like they desperate for whatever they're looking for. Or when people are getting along with weirdos, if the person seems like they desperate for affection, don't ever be alone with them because those kinds of people take it too far. So that's what I mean, looking at the signs. But people would change people plans illegally, and then I would have to fix the plan for them, or I would get a call to where people yelling because someone told everyone around that era that yelling at the customer service person gets you what you want, which it actually doesn't. I don't know about now, but then it didn't. All it did was get you sent to a department just for angry people. And the best thing they could do is probably offer you something free, or if you too disrespectful, cancel your service. So when it comes to add-ons, they have to sell it to you. They have whole trainings. Like, this is why I say it's good to separate, find yourself, and elevate. Because when it comes to these things that people don't have control buying, it's whole courses, it's whole conferences about people putting ideas together to get you to say yes all of the time, as many times as possible. So it's a system. If you don't learn the system will beat you every time. And when a system like car buying is too much, sometimes you have to, if you're gonna get a car note, you're gonna have to really hunker down. This gonna have to be the last one for some years, because vehicles can, well, used to could last pretty long, especially if you took care of it. Most of the people I know who couldn't keep up with vehicles, they didn't get oil changes. They didn't change tires. Their tires would be bald like a potato. And then they would be shocked when stuff happened. But that was because people would blame the devil. Oh, the devil is busy because my engine don't start. But you left your car on for 12 hours listening to the radio, 2 hours every day, sitting in your car listening to the radio, not with the car running. So the battery's draining. The alternator is not reflecting that charge back to each other and keeping the battery at a certain level. Like, it's so much ignorance out there, and that's why it's best to be enlightened. If the more you learn, like, I promise, a lot of people just learning across the board in their life about things that they regularly spend their time with or things that regularly get their attention, that would be savings right there, because you would see the different things that's subtly taken from you. Most people who get cars from the dealership, they end up with stuff on there. Not, well, not most, but a lot of people end up with all types of things that they didn't even need. Some people get warranties and don't even look at what the warranty excludes. And a lot of the times it excludes the stuff that usually is wrong with the vehicle, unless it's a recall. And recalls only really happen because they're afraid of legal recourse. That's why people have, like, they've made the general public look down on lawsuits. But majority of this country and majority of stuff you see today changed or was removed or added because of lawsuits. Like, when you hear all of these different, this versus this, United States versus this, those are court cases, like, legit. So the fact that they've taken that from people, anyways, the monthly payment is not the whole deal. The monthly payment is only how the deal is packaged. Chapter 5, depreciation. Depreciation means the vehicle loses value over time. Most vehicles are not assets that grow. Most vehicles are tools that lose value while costing money to keep. That does not mean a vehicle is useless. A vehicle can help you earn money, get to work, protect your time, and support your life. But financially, you need to understand the difference between transportation and wealth. A vehicle may make you feel successful, but if it is losing value, costing interest, and interest is money to the people that you borrow from, raising insurance and draining your paycheck, it may not be building wealth. It may be consuming it. This is why the newest vehicle is not always the wisest vehicle. Newer can mean more technology, more comfort, and more image. But newer can also mean more depreciation, higher insurance, more expensive repairs, dealership dependence, and a bigger loan. Do not confuse new with smart. And y'all don't find that odd that the things that people typically have problems overspending on are all things that have no value? Gambling addiction, substance addiction, and that could be anything from cigarettes all the way to alcohol to all of the other stuff that use your imagination, clothes that don't make sense. Like, but when it comes to things that could blow up in value immediately, the general public don't care about it. People talk about financial literacy like if they got a Ouija board and it's a ghost they're trying to talk to. Like, if it's not fully there, like if you know it's there because the planchette moving, but it's not really there. But the whole point is you've been programmed, and not like through life, through habits, through environment, through what you consume, to be a spender. People are not programmed to be financially savvy. You have to reprogram yourself. And until you do right by me, no, but until you like find a way to let go of being pressured by other people, it may never happen. You might get a few assets, but then you might overspend and then have to cash those in again. Like, but when mistakes happen, that is times for you to check up on yourself and see where you were weak at. Because when you retry again, you can already have that area patched up. It's like trying to sail in the river and you start seeing a leak in the boat. Okay, you get back to the dock, you patch that leak up, and then you go for a sail again. Hopefully it don't have another leak, and maybe you can make it to the other dock, or sometimes you might have to go right back again. Because I mean, life is a pretty, people always say life is short, but life is long when you think about habits, because giving up one time to stop doing something that you've been doing for years, which made your life the way it is, you owe that to yourself to not stop trying. But also you owe it to yourself to learn yourself, because if you're trying to achieve goals and you don't have self-awareness, true self-awareness, not all of the the memes and all of that, or maybe because your playlists have philosophy videos, you all of that, but unless you really know who you are, you will keep failing that stuff because you won't set it up right. If you don't realize that you have a bad issue, a relationship with time, trying to tell yourself you're going to do stuff at 5 a.m., at 6 a.m., and thinking setting an alarm is going to be the only solution to keep you from doing that. No. Or if you someone who tell yourself you want to save, like I remember when social media was still a teenager, they used to always have the little savings goals that will go viral every January. But if a person don't own up to the fact that they overspend, or pay attention to the fact that going out makes them spend more, especially when they're intoxicated, then you will keep being in that cycle of saving and then pulling out your savings. So self-discovery is important. Sometimes you may not like what you see. Some people may realize that they were projecting on other people, because projection of the stuff that you are in denial about is wild to experience. I legit have had people who have told me I was what they are, what they regularly do, what their life look like. A person who always in drama try to tell me I'm dramatic, but it's like your life is the one that looks like a forest fire that never ends, not mine. Or the person who tells me that I'm talking loud, when half the time, if I'm talking to people in a serious conversation, you would think I'm one of the Jackson children, because I make sure to lower my tone thanks to the gaslit people. Because when people who not educated, or people who don't want to be wrong, they try to use emotion to overpower the conversation. So for me to prevent that, I just talk low, which is funny because people still will say stop yelling, and it's like, who's yelling? You're yelling. I'm not yelling. I'm not. It's like, yeah, the new vehicle ego trap. A lot of people feel pressure to have the newest vehicle. They want to look like they're winning. They want to feel respected. They want to pull up and be seen. They want to match the people around them. They want to prove they are not broke. But here is the question. If you have a better vehicle than people around you, but you are going to the same places, making the same money, struggling with the same vehicles, bills, and carrying more stress, what did the vehicle really change? A car can change how people see you, but it does not automatically change your financial position. People should value you for your character, not your costume. A vehicle can become a costume. And if you're paying interest to wear that costume every month, you need to ask whether the image is worth the internal stress. Spoiler alert, like, you know, things can turn out differently for people because it's different variables, location, environment, all types of things. But one of the common things I see for that, you spend. You get all of the nice clothes, you get the vehicle, you be helpful to people, you go to all of the events. But guess what ends up happening? Those relationships are superficial majority of the time. And when you spend that reckless, you're gonna hit a bump in the road. It's inevitable, because the spending at some point starts to over supersede the income. And that gives you that false sense of more buying power, but then all of that stuff has to be paid back too. And forbid if it's a loss in income, or it's an injury or something, to where your income is not coming in the same, because for whatever reason, people build a whole life around whatever they made in that moment when they made the decision. So if a person just made $10,000 this month, it could be a one-time thing, but for whatever reason, their brain begins to carve a life that costs $10,000 a month. And what ends up happening? Everything that you had around that time, especially if it's rented or finance, is taken away from you. You see it too often. Like when it comes to sports, music, so many things. Like, how many more people have to show you that buying material things for an image never ends well? It never ends well. Very few people have been able to break through that. Michael Jordan probably is one of the few people who money is so strong that his bad habits didn't destroy him. But if he didn't have the Jordans and all this different generational wealth, the amount that man used to spend on gambling in the 90s and whenever else, baby, he would have been broke too. It's people now who at one point was supposed to be a billionaire. Now they having $1 million lawsuits for writing bad checks and all of this other stuff. So please give up the ghost. Like, it's really just loneliness that make y'all do this. It's not genuine feeling. Like, it's literal loneliness, because when it comes to these people, take it from 20 plus year old Jneworleans, was fresh to death, smell good, like giving rides to people, showing to every event, any event you had. Like, you would have thought I was a Disney character. Bar mitzvahs, birthdays, christenings, weddings, divorce parties, funerals for other people, family, like everything. But when things started to chip away that kept people around, those people left, because it wasn't built on that. It wasn't built on genuine nature. And then some people will come back around to kick you while you're down, because maybe the whole time you was up, they felt inferior to you. And you build a lot of enemies like that. It's like, enemies come and go in life, and it depends on how you handle that. Like, some of y'all give y'all enemies a whole throne and y'all have regular social media battles with them. For me, I get mine smoked in real life. I'm just joking. But well, I mean, yeah. So when it comes to people around for superficial reasons, it's not genuine. It's not. That's why people can click out on you so fast. That's why people can immediately throw stuff in your face, because they don't care about you. If a person I cared about told me something vulnerable or something that hurt them, not only would I slide on whoever did it, but unless it was a woman, but or a child. Well, children these days, I don't know, but unless it's a woman or a girl, but nah. When it comes to them telling me vulnerable stuff, it didn't hurt me the same way, because I know how to empathize without internalizing it, but it hurt. So I would never think to bring up that stuff. We could be in a heated argument. They could be taking it to hell. I'm never going to bring up something that hurt them. I could destroy them with the present. I don't need to use their vulnerability against them. But what happens is, somebody lied to a lot of people and told people it was a good thing to be transparent. So you seeing it on social media, people coming and telling everything, and then showing everything. People going to work telling everything to their coworkers. And that's the most annoying part about any job I had, is for y'all people who tell y'all business, and now either the person trying to tell it to me and I got to tell them I don't care, or I got to be within the earshot of people dragging for your ass like a dog, men and women. Off show, baby, they who? Oh, he owed child support. I don't know why he just got that new car. He just told me last month he was $20,000 on child support. Like, baby, the less people know, like, all of that talking make people feel so good because y'all feel unheard. Shut up. Like, literally, shut up. You don't need to talk to these people. You can talk, you can have conversations with coworkers, because for me, I've tricked majority of my coworkers into thinking I was partially social, but I literally never used to tell them nothing about my life. A bunch of nothing. And the fact that most people want to be seen, I just would let people talk. So people would feel closer to me because they didn't tell me everything, but I wouldn't tell them anything. Granted, I wouldn't even be judging them off the stuff they told me, but it's like, you just want to talk. You just want to be seen. You just want a person to hear you. That's all. Like, don't fall into the trap with letting material things make you think you really that person. Like, look at all of the people on social media who you see that blew up for one thing, and then how quickly the people turn on them. People that you meet in conditional situations are conditional. It's just that. It's conditional. That's just like the weather is conditional. Like, right now, it's a sunny day outside, and it could be storming one day. The other day, it was just water down into my door. So that's how people are. People are conditional like the weather. You have to build genuine bonds with people. That's why you have to bring back getting to know people. And that's another overused word. People think getting to know a person mean texting them what you doing every day. No depth in the conversation, no nothing. How are you? What did you eat? Oh, what did you watch on TV? Just basic petty penny any Toy Story 3 childish ass shit. But no, you really have to see what people align. First of all, you need to know your own values. And then you can decide who you allow in your life, because someone can have different values, but you never want to be around somebody who values oppose yours. If you're a nonviolent person, you don't want to be around a person who want to fight everybody that they have a disagreement with. And a lot of people end up doing that because y'all didn't meet over values. Y'all met over Gucci belts. So now you hanging with Mr. Gucci belt who have 5 bodies on his belt, and you wondering why the car getting sprayed while y'all at McDonald's. Like, You really have to know the values in people's life. Not to mention, some people, if you don't know their values, they will sabotage yours. And you know that I didn't turn it into the other segment. I do this in the other videos. My bad, y'all. I'm gonna be quiet the rest of the video. Rent the feeling before you finance the lifestyle. Sometimes people do not really want the vehicle; they want the feeling, to feel successful, to feel fresh, to feel respected. If you want to feel respected, I respect you, and that's genuine. I respect people. The only time I don't respect people is when they give me a reason to. But you don't know me yet, so I respect you. So if you want to feel respected, there you go. They want to feel excited. The excitement is short lived. Unless you're someone who is in love with your vehicle the whole time you have it without trading it in and adding more to your balance, the excite like it's literally like a drug. But the drug, you stuck with the drug. Like the vehicle give you that high, give you that good feeling. And I know that if you have a car that may have issues picking up speeds, it do feel good to be able to put your foot down and feel like you're in a rocket. It does. But you still get to the same places your other vehicle got you to. Unless you may be someone like for me, when I was working offshore, I had to have a vehicle because the one time when my vehicle was totaled, I was on Twitter begging for a ride 45 minutes away, offering $100 plus gas money. So whatever it took for them people to fill their tank back up, when they got back to New Orleans, I would give them the 100 in cash and then I will reimburse them their gas. When I tell you nobody wanted to do that, and one person who was one of those people who I had a conditional connection with, it was easy to show up for them because they always had something they needed. This same person had just got a car and lied and said the car was having issues just not to bring me. Instead of just straight up saying no, I've always respected no from people. But when people lie or make excuses, I lose respect for you because that lets me know you pussy. And I don't hang with pussy people at all. Like that is a liability. When you hanging around weak people, anything is liable to happen. When people can't stand on their word, anything like you don't know, you don't even know who that person is. You don't know how much of the stuff they told you was a lie, which I mean I do, but the average person doesn't. So after that, I needed a vehicle and it ended up paying for itself. But I mean, yeah, it literally paid for itself. But I'm sorry, y'all. They want to feel different. There's nothing with wanting to feel good, but do not sign years of debt for a feeling that may only last a weekend. One practical idea is this. Also, always have gap insurance. If you don't do anything, always have gap insurance. And if you ever take matters into your own hands, never post about that shit online. Don't ever, ever, ever. Don't even do it in a Reddit thread. Baby, them insurance people is close to, they just like the CIA and the FBI. People be up here doing gap claims and be on social media talking about it. Like y'all are insane. That is literally the equivalent of getting your local police office email address and just sending it to them because they already have law enforcement all throughout social media. You know, initially for the safety of people, but I mean, they be catching all kind of stuff they weren't even asking for. One practical idea is this: rent the type of vehicle for a few days if you can afford to do so responsibly. Get the feeling, drive it, enjoy it. Then use an online calculator and ask, if I finance this vehicle, how much would it cost me per month? How much would insurance be? How much would gas be? Maintenance, tires cost, repairs. How much would this cost over 5 or 6 years? Well, baby, you don't have to ask that part. It's going to say it on the contract. It'll definitely say that. It'll say what your monthly payment is, and then they're going to have them boxes, and it's going to say the interest rate, and then it'll tell you, because even home loans do that. It show you how much you're going to be then paid if you pay the minimum monthly payments. So get your brain out the minimum monthly payment. Like for me, my vehicle I purchased in 2021 was a 2019, and I paid it off by 2023 because I was not playing. Like I didn't keep my brain in that just pay the monthly payment. No. I made sure to put extra, and I was just tagging it. And the more I was tagging it, the principal, the interest was less. So that at a certain point, I tagged so much of the principal that the interest dropped so low, and I was doing multiple payments a month. Like you have to have a strategy. Don't ever get into something and just let it ride. Like, okay, I got a car because I needed it, but you just go along with it after that. No, baby, you got to make a plan. The same way these businesses make a plan, and the same way that the celebrities that are actually rich, have financial budgets and all kind of people accounting for their 20, 30 bank accounts and 50 businesses. You as a regular person, you should be able to do that. You don't need to be an accountant to know what's coming in and out of your life. See, with the accountants, they have to think about things for someone else. They have to think about the person they work for. They have to think about the future of the assets. They have to think about all kinds of things. You as a regular person, you have more control. The only thing you may have to worry about is your stability. That's why I always preach. I say preach, yikes. That's why I always teach and talk and walk and stalk the fact that we need to keep a relationship with ourselves. Self-discovery is not something you just do and then you said it and forget it. If you know, you know, infomercial. But no, it's something that you regularly do and you regularly discover. And even in situations like if you fall, like say for instance, if I went to Big John's and got a plate right now, I would ask myself, what made me go get that plate right now? I already cooked earlier. I have food at home. Like usually when I get them, it's for convenience, or maybe it's if they have a gumbo special some days or something. Like I'll ask myself versus just beating myself up about it, having fake sadness only to do it again. Like you have to question everything you do when you want to grow from it. And you have to admit what you did to yourself, not to me. That's like, honestly, the more I realize about psychology, Christians don't be mad at me, but the more I realize that the Bible may be a self-help book. Like I'm not saying anything about the people in there, but a lot, if you read the Bible as a self-help book and take the religion out, it is a lot of actual things, because when a person confesses their sins and all of this other stuff, they describe in meditation and they describe in like letting go of stuff. So yeah, this is not a sponsored ad for a Bible. I don't even know why they sell Bibles. They should be free, but nope. I'm over today. Social media ads and the vehicle trap. Social media makes people more vulnerable to spending. If you watch car content all day, the algorithm will feed you more cars, new trucks, luxury interior, rims, sound systems, dealership ads, influencers. Before long, you may start believing you need something you did not even want before. That is outside influence. Advertising does not just sell products, it sells identity. And they spend over, like, in 2024, they spent over 600 billion in ads across the marketing sector, but that wasn't even a full scope of what it was. So $600 billion spent just to get your attention so you can buy something. Think on that. $600 billion? Like, it sells identity. It tells you the vehicle means success, respect, status, freedom. But real freedom is not a car note you can barely afford. Real freedom is options. Real freedom is breathing room. Real freedom is not being trapped by a decision your ego made during a high pressure sale. Remember, they use emotions against you. That's why when it comes to scammers and other people who do things similar to scammers but may not be scammers, they use pressure, availability. Oh, this deal won't last long, and blah, 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 blah. The sales environment can weaponize emotion. A dealership can be an emotional environment. Bright lights, clean cars, fast talking, approval, excitement, urgency, compliments, pressure, trade and talk, monthly payment focus. That is why every time I went to the dealership, I always made sure I looked my worst. Because if you get to giving me compliments, sit your lying ass down. Statements like, this deal is only good today. Someone else is looking at this car. Well, I'll jump them if they get it. Simple. You ain't gonna rush me. You deserve this. You work hard. We can get you approved. Your old car is not worth fixing. Let's get you into something newer. If you're tired, excited, embarrassed, insecure, pressured, or desperate, you may make a decision your calm mind would not make. And not to mention, I'm under the impression that some dealerships keep you there longer than usual, because when I was there for the Honda Pilot, I paid for it cash. So the fact that these people still had me there for 5-6 hours was insane. And I still had to come back later and pick up other stuff like that. I feel like that's a scheme that the dealership set up. Never let your ego sign a contract. Go home, run the numbers, check the insurance, research the vehicle, check recalls, get the vehicle inspected, read the contract, sleep on it. A vehicle decision should not be made while your emotions are driving. Now, that sounds beautiful, but if you are someone who grew up in scarcity like I did, and when you became an adult, even being the youngest of a lot of different things, you were somehow the financial patriarch of a system that was there well before you, even though the system is financially horrible. So when you are in control of your own money, it's harder for you to stop. When you like from younger me, when I used to want something, nothing could stop me from getting it. So like if I wanted a particular laptop, if I went to the place to get it and it was gone, I'm about to go on the internet and get it. And if the shipping times is too long, I'm about to keep searching and keep searching instead of just giving up and saying, you know what, I'll wait. Or if I want to, the times I needed a vehicle, instead of me waiting until the next day to go to a regular dealership, the vehicle that got sent to heaven in 2020, um, I basically just stopped at a mom and pop shop because that was the one that was open at 7 p.m. when I had just got back from offshore, because I told myself that I was going to pull up to the hotel for my complimentary stay, because the job will give us a complimentary stay when we first get off, and a complimentary stay before we go back to work in case you was coming in from out of town. So I told myself that and I kept my promise to myself, but I really could have broke my promise to myself. But the fact that promises have been broken throughout my life. One thing I didn't believe in doing at that time was breaking promises to myself, which the solution to that I learned is just stop promising myself stuff. That's all. Just let it happen when it happens. If it be, it'll be, it will be, baby, just let it be. A vehicle decision should not be made while your emotions are driving. So that was just me empathizing, saying that I like a lot of this stuff is not cut and dry. That is why I always direct back to the work, because I would be a idiot if I was to sit up here and think that a person listening to these videos is just going to be the only thing that they need. No, no, no. You have to work within yourself, and you working within yourself is really just looking at your habits, looking at your patterns, connecting your patterns, and understanding. Yes, you may have inherited stuff from parents, environments, traumatic experiences. However, those things may or may not be present anymore. Like, are you still in a traumatic situation, or are you carrying trauma that happened before? So you can both understand that it was an outside thing that caused inside disruption, but you also have to take the ownership that you're responsible for your inside. That's like saying the person who lived there before you didn't clean up the house before you moved in, or the yeah, that would be a better example. So if you choose to still live there, that means that you're gonna have to clean it up. Yes, we know the people didn't clean it up, but you have to clean it up. Research the vehicle before you buy. Before buying a vehicle, research the specific year, make, model, engine, and transmission. Do not only search the brand, search the exact vehicle. Some vehicles have common engine issues, some have transmission problems, some are known for electrical issues, expensive parts, recalls, title problems, accident histories, meter concerns. Some have been neglected. Some luxury vehicles look beautiful but can become repair nightmares. Word to the Rovers and the electrical issues, which is crazy that that's still a thing, because the person I knew bought the vehicle in 2009 and that was the issue. So the fact that we are 1,000 years later and current videos are still saying the same thing, that is insane. It's almost like they don't care because they know that the name is going to sell it anyway. Let me stop. There are brands and models that people love emotionally, but mechanics know the patterns. Do not fall in love with a vehicle before you understand its known weakness. Look up common problems, recalls, owner complaints, maintenance costs, insurance estimates. Get a pre-purchase inspection. A beautiful vehicle with hidden problems can become a financial trap wearing clean paint. Okay, the alternatives to all of that, because it sounds like you would have to do a research paper for one of those trifold science projects that we used to have to do in school, and then the person who won always did the volcano, and but Carfax, that's the place. Now, at the time of this video, Carfax is not known to be scandalous. So in the future, if this video is still up in the future and something happens, baby, I didn't know. I'm basing it off of June 25th at 10:58 a.m. So yeah, Carfax. And then if you already have car insurance, you can call your car insurance company and literally talk to them. If you're not app savvy, you can also do it in the app for your insurance app. If you don't have a vehicle, so you wouldn't have insurance, baby, insurance is a sales job. Those people are hungry just like the dealership. However, they have a lot more legal protections of them having to be ethical. So they have a lot of consequences if they were to be unethical with you. So you would be a little bit safer with asking them. because they know the information. So you can actually call different people for this information if you're not familiar. However, it would be nice if you could find some of this information out yourself first and then compare it with the expert. And that way you would see that, hey, I can be an expert too. But always still verify. Verification is you can't go wrong verifying unless the people charge for consultations. Get a pre-purchase inspection. Also avoid as is vehicles as much as possible. Avoid as is anything. As is anything. Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. But some people really will sell you stuff as is, genuinely selling it as is. Like if I sold some PlayStation stuff, it would be genuinely as is because it's taking up space. But then you have the people who will take something broken or destroy and then patch it up to make money because some people are addicted to money. That's why they scam so much, because that's the only way that they can match their spending, because scammers are also usually overspenders. Recalls and safety issues. A recall happens when a vehicle or part has a safety issue or does not meet safety standards. Before buying a vehicle, check the VIN for recalls. Do not assume the dealer checked everything. Do not assume the seller told you everything. Do not assume a clean looking vehicle is a safe vehicle. A recall could involve airbags, brakes, electrical systems, fuel systems, steering, seat belts, tires, or other related parts. Some recall repairs may be free through the manufacturer, but you need to know the recall exists. This is pattern recognition. You're not just buying the shine, you're checking the truth. And you really do better searching for recall information on the official recall websites that I may do in another video. Because with dealers, again, you have to remember these people have pressure. It's multiple layers of pressure. The dealer is at the very bottom, and you are the person that they're trying to get and put you at the bottom. Because if you get stuck with a car note, you are now being squashed by the salesman, who's squashed by their manager, who's squashed by the owner of the dealership, who's squashed by the manufacturer you bought the parts from, who's squashed by having to pay taxes, and they need to pay the employees, who squashed by, it's the leaning tower of debt. So you can't really expect them to tell you things that's going to stop you from getting a sale. Now, some people may, but it's not guaranteed. That's my point. Honesty is not guaranteed in the wild, baby. Just like you want to be better with money, there are people who want as much money from as much people as they can. That is why people with bad credit in low poverty areas, businesses in the areas are predatory. That's why you see more payday loans in more impoverished areas. Sometimes that may be a marker that you're in a bad area if you have a lot of payday loans. That is why you have these buy here, pay here. And now, more recently, you have people aggressively selling messed up houses and getting people into loans with them, paying twice the rate of the house. So yeah, be careful out there. Buy here, pay here lots can be enticing. They may say no credit needed, bad credit okay, drive today, low down payment. We approve everyone. For someone who needs transportation, that can sound like a blessing, but you need to be careful. Many buy here, pay here vehicles are sold with high interest, short payment schedules, limited warranties, or no warranties. Some vehicles may have had few repairs. Some may look better than they actually are. Some may be sold as is. Some may have title issues. Some buyers end up paying a lot of money for a vehicle that has already had serious problems. And if they fall behind, repossession can happen quickly depending on the contract and state law. This does not mean every lot is bad, but it does mean easy approval is not the same as a good deal. If the door is easy to open, read what's behind it. And you know what's so crazy? And they might have someone somewhere out there in Timbuktu, America. A person could easily have returning money if they actually, when they selling these vehicles at the buy here, pay here lots, if it's an auction vehicle, really list what's wrong with it. Get them a real mechanic on board that actually fixes the vehicles up. Spend a few hundred, maybe 1,000, as long as it ain't transmission. Like if they just avoided vehicles with transmission and head gasket issues, they literally could afford to put 1,000 in each vehicle before they sell it, so that when they do sell it for a price, it's actually worth that. And not to mention, if you have a mechanic that work with the dealership, the customers are going to come back for their maintenance, for their changes and things like that. because you could actually be the person who educate them on vehicles, educate them about tune-ups, educate them about all of the different parts that have to be changed after so many miles to keep the vehicle running in tip-top shape, because oil changes and putting gas in there and tire rotations is not the only thing you have to do, unfortunately. But instead of doing that, they just be so greedy for a high return that they do it, and then a lot of them end up being involved in other stuff too. So they always end up getting shut down or going to jail or getting sued by someone when they could have just did it right the first time. Not to mention, reputation is priceless. If they could build a reputation, they could actually have multiple people coming in, because the vehicles always have vehicle auctions. There's always someone who needs a new vehicle. Not to mention, if you're doing in-house financing because you targeting people with bad credit, you could also be helping them build their credit up. That's building a stronger relationship with them. But honestly, the way that a lot of people in society behave, who are emotionally immature, who have anger issues, like even the people who be blocking my driveway, instead of me calling the police and them getting a $136 ticket, I try to be super save a hoe and tell them, and they get an attitude every time. So I kind of I think that some people just, you can't help them. You can help a lot of people. There's a lot of people that deserve help, but it's so many of the people, like the people who block my driveway, that honestly you just get tired of trying, you know. But next time they definitely gonna get that ticket. A, a Facebook marketplace and private seller deals can sometimes be useful in the past, not now, but they also can be full of scams. Watch for fake sellers, deposits, pressure to send money before seeing the car, sellers who will not meet in person, sellers who avoid showing the title, titles not in the seller's name, salvage or rebuilt titles hidden until late, odometer issues, cars that were flooded, cars that were wrecked, cars with dashboard lights cleared temporarily, cars sold by people pretending to be regular owners when they're flipping vehicles. Never send deposits blindly. Verify the VIN. Check the title. Meet safely. Bring someone knowledgeable. Get an inspection. Do not let a low price shut off your common sense. A deal that feels urgent may be bait. The danger in that is that people don't put their right location all of the time. So you could have someone in a whole different state with a profile that's in your area, and it be everything that you need in the vehicle. Like the more the internet started being populated with people, that's the less that stuff became real. So honestly, Facebook Marketplace need to be your last resort. Like you should be on bended knee before you go there, because the risk of scam online on any website is too high now. At one point, I don't see it anymore. They used to have people making fake profiles of whoever had a lot of followers and be in a comment section telling people click this link and all of this other stuff. So baby, good luck with doing stuff online. Know your rights. If you don't have legal protections, don't do it. Like a lot of things that we buy have legal protections, but when you giving money to people on the internet, a lot of that money is not protected in them situations. Even if the persons tell you they're gonna email you a contract, baby, look, good luck. Because I can't tell you what to do. You're grown, you're gonna do what you're gonna do anyway. But this video is gonna be long because I still have like 20 sections left. So I'm gonna just cut this in 2 videos. So this is the first half. And then I guess the second half will be part 2 of part 12. Part 12, part 2. I don't know.